There used to be a whole continent between Siberia and Alaska. Not ice, not ocean, but grassland, big enough to swallow countries. During the Ice Age, glaciers locked up so much water that seas fell hundreds of feet. What's submerged today emerged. Beringia, an enormous bridge of tundra. For thousands of years, this dry, windy world connected two continents, and across it moved mammoths, bison, and small human families carrying everything they owned. Welcome to the mammoth steppe, a cold savanna where summer is brief, winter is brutal, and the horizon never seems to end. A woolly mammoth stands nearly 3.5 meters at the shoulder, fur like a moving coat, tusks like carved ivory scythes. But giants draw shadows. In the grass, predators read the herds, testing for weakness, waiting for a moment the wind will hide them. At the edge of this world, a band of humans appears, maybe 20 souls. They don't know the map. They only know the cold and the need to keep moving. Fur wrapped tight, skin cracked by wind, they travel light. A baby rides against a mother's chest. Every step a calculation of warmth and risk. Stone becomes survival. A flake, a blade, a point, shaped with aching fingers. Fire is guarded like treasure, because without it, night can kill. They follow rivers braided across the plain, natural highways through a continent-sized corridor, where every valley promises water and danger. Water isn't everywhere. Sometimes they melt snow. Sometimes they dig to find it. Sometimes they gamble on a distant shimmer and hope it's real. A river crossing can end an expedition. Icy current steals heat in minutes. They go one by one, packs held high, eyes locked on the far bank. One slip, one wrong step. A twisted ankle turns a journey into a rescue mission, because on Beringia, the slowest walker sets the speed for everyone. At a windy ridge, they choose a route. Follow the hills for shelter, cut across open steppe to save days. The landscape doesn't answer. It only waits. Winter returns like a wall. Snow erases trails. Wind screams through bone-dry grass, and even mammoths huddle, their breath turning the air to fog. Hunger presses. Hunters stalk steppe bison, massive, restless muscle and horn. The plan must be perfect, because a mistake here can shatter ribs. The hunt's reward is time. Meat, fat, hide, sinew. They work fast, and let smoke do what winter cannot, preserve. At night, the sky dances. Under aurora light, they share heat, repair gear, and listen. Because the dark is full of footprints they can't see. Wolves gather at the edge of firelight, not attacking, probing. The humans answer with sparks and shouts, a thin line between camp and teeth. Spring thaw turns Beringia into a moving puzzle. Ice breaks, rivers shift, ground softens, caribou migrate, and life floods north with them. In short summer, they harvest every calorie. Berries, roots, marrow, fish in shallow streams, then dry and cache what they can before cold returns. They cross mosquito-wet tundra, hopping over tussocks, boots made of hide soaking through. The land bridge is dry in legend, yet parts are a sponge. In mud, the story writes itself. A human footprint beside a mammoth track, different sizes, same direction. Two species on the same road. From a lowest bluff, they see it. Endless plains behind them, unknown land ahead. No signposts, only wind and the pull of somewhere new. A shadow rises, giant short-faced bear, a moving wall of fur and bone. The group freezes. Even predators respect this king of the Ice Age. At sunset, they ford again. Water reflects a red sky like fire. They move silently because sound carries far across a treeless plain. A child coughs through the night, breath short, fever rising. In a world without medicine, Care becomes strategy. Warmth, water, time, hope. A bone needle stitches fur into a parka. Each thread is a boundary between skin and the killing cold. Technology made by hand, under pressure. Horses thunder by, manes whipping in wind. The people pause, watching, then walk on. Tiny silhouettes in a continent that barely notices. Years pass. Camps flare and fade. Trails become memory. And Beringia, this wide corridor, funnels life toward Alaska, toward a future no one can yet imagine. Ahead, mountains rise, glaciers shining blue. The air turns sharper, winds stronger. They are nearing the border between two worlds, ice and steppe. Along the coastal plain, sea lies far away, because sea level is still low. What will be ocean later is today a field of grasses and sand. A glacier's face blocks the horizon, a frozen cliff. Meltwater roars at its foot. The travelers hug the ice edge, searching for passages that won't trap them. Outwash rivers braid across gravel. Cold wind lifts dust into their eyes. Every crossing steals strength, and every day demands the same choice: rest or risk. Then, a living wall, mammoths crossing their path. The ground trembles. The people wait, because you don't push past an animal that outweighs you by tons. At the narrowest corridors, the land feels crowded. Herds, predators, people, all moving through the same bottlenecks, all reading the same weather signs. But the world is warming. Dwarf birch and willow creep into grasslands. Wet tundra spreads. The mammoth steppe, once endless, begins to break apart. With warmth comes insects, clouds of mosquitoes, relentless. They drive animals to higher ground and force humans to cover every inch of skin, even in July. Permafrost melts from below. The ground collapses into dark ponds. Whole hillsides slump. The landscape itself is changing under their feet. Quiet, unstoppable. A bank gives way. Gravel slides like water. Someone falls, then hands grab, pull, save. On Beringia, survival isn't heroics, it's teamwork. Far to the south, ice sheets shrink. With every melt, the ocean climbs. The shoreline crawls inland, quietly eating the edges of the plain. In decades, not minutes, the land bridge narrows. Valleys flood. Rivers become bays. The road between continents begins to pinch closed. Now they wade a new channel, icy water up to their thighs. Packs held overhead. One stumble, and the journey ends in silence. At night, the elders watch the tide lines and whisper. The land is changing faster than stories. Somewhere behind them, routes they used are already gone. A storm drives waves across lowlands. Rain turns to sleet. They scramble to higher ground, hearing the ocean's new voice, louder every year. On a shrinking ridge, mammoths hesitate, noses raised, confused by salt air. Even giants can lose their world, 1 inch of sea at a time. Then the moment comes, water cuts through the last saddle. A channel opens. Asia and America separate again, leaving families, animals, and memories on opposite shores. Beringia sinks beneath waves. Grasslands drown. Bones settle into mud. The lost continent doesn't vanish. It hides, preserved under cold, dark water. Today, the Bering Strait is only water, but below, the seafloor still holds riverbeds and hills, an ancient landscape waiting to be mapped. Scientists search with sonar and sediment cores, reading the seafloor like a book. Each line on a scan is a clue to the road humans once walked. On the American side, they step into new valleys. Light feels different. Herds look different. But the rules stay the same. Move, adapt, endure. Generations later, their descendants follow rivers south and east, through ice-fringed corridors and open plains, leaving stone tools, hearths, and footprints behind. They learn new ecosystems, forests, coasts, mountains. They invent new solutions. The journey that began on a wind-scoured steppe becomes the peopling of two continents. In every campfire ember, there is a choice repeated: stay or go. Beringia was a doorway, but the human story is what walked through it. And yet, the door is gone. Rising seas seal it shut. The continents remain, but the bridge, the hidden chapter in our history, lies underwater. As tundra turns wetter and shrubs spread, the great herds thin. The mammoth steppe fades, and an ice age world gives way to the world we know. Still, Beringia survives in fragments: a tusk in permafrost, a stone point on a riverbank, DNA locked in frozen silt, waiting for discovery. Reconstructing this lost continent is like filming a vanished film reel. Frame by frame, we rebuild a landscape that once connected the planet. Imagine standing there at dawn, wind in your face, mammoths in the mist, footprints stretching to the horizon. Beringia was not a myth. It was a place that carried us, then disappeared. If we could rewind Earth for 10 minutes, we'd see it and watch it sink again beneath the sea.